All right, click the links to join the channel here or over at Subscribestar, the various other links. Wish me luck on this video. It's you can only fly too close to the sun so many times. If you want to know what's allowed on YouTube, you do a YouTube search before you make the video, and if you see a massive black hole, you go, I see. That's what the puppet masters allow, and that's what they don't allow. And over the past events of the 3 years, you saw what Google wanted you to know and what they didn't want you to know. So TikTok ban, civil forfeiture, prison, no due process, no FOIA, and then a forced CBDC and a currency exchange. Well, that's weird. Keep in mind, jural entities don't go to prison. People like you and I end up going to prison. Patriots don't cover their faces. Oh, but those J6 guys are in prison now. Like, the reason Antifa covers their faces and all dresses like gloves and mask, because you don't hand the state the case on a silver platter. Oh. Peaceful redress of grievance, peaceful assembly, what's it, Patriot Front Group. Oh, those must be glowing federal agents because patriots don't cover their faces. Yeah, but I just explained why you'd want to do that. Like, you can't be this dumb, can you? Anyway, I mean, some people are, but other people's are like their own bad actors in all kinds of right-wing spaces. So the 1913 Federal Reserve, then the 1914 start of the perpetual war in terminal inflation. Like, you talk about a bullet that you fire into orbit, and then you go, 100 years later, this is going to come down at the speed of light. And it is. The 1933 Emergency Banking Act and the 1971 Gold Act. Keep in mind that was under Nixon. If you want to know the history of America, you can start with the history viewed through the lens of banking, because that tells you the power structure. Funny thing about Hillary Clinton is she was fired from the Nixon case for being dishonest and denying Nixon his due process right, or his Sixth Amendment right to counsel, or Fifth due process, something like that. She was literally fired. I mean, I read a biopsy, a history of Nixon and his whole thing, and like that Hillary thing came up, and you go, that's weird. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Why isn't this in the media? Yeah. Anyway, so the thing is, the history of banking tells you the power structure of the country. You can go back 1,800 years to Aristotle when he talked about the concept of making money off of money. He knew it was going to be a problem. And that dealt with the kind of rise of co-evolution of shipping and banking. Then you can fast forward to, Andrew Jackson and the Bankers' Wars and all the writings of the Founding Fathers dealing with that issue. Also, the funny thing about money is, well, first the thing itself of value was the value, then precious metals, then linen notes that were backed by a tangible thing, silver or gold. A silver note, then a piece of linen that was backed by the full faith and credit of go F yourself, we just subverted your economic system. Wait a minute, this piece of paper or linen, it's not paper, it's cotton or something, before was backed by, silver or gold exchange. And these at one time, coins were precious metals, not pot metals. I mean, before 1983, your copper pennies were copper. And if you have pennies from 1983 and earlier, they're made of copper, right? So in today's market, the copper penny is worth 3 cents because the new coins are all made of zinc. So you get the idea. Things start getting a little funny. But coins like before, 64, used to have some silver in them, silver coins. But then the paper itself was like, the linen itself is not valuable, of course. You could sew it together to make clothing, I suppose. But it was backed by precious metals. And then if you notice, they became treasury notes instead of silver certificates. Anyway, it's backed by your imagination. Very soon they are going to do a North Korea-style currency exchange and issue you the Mark of the Beast digital currency, backed again by nothing but the memories of when America was a country. Or I guess nowadays it's the petroleum dollar, but it's really America's military might. America's 11 aircraft carriers and the ability to convince the sheeple Americans that we need to go to war. Proxy wars 10,000 miles away. We're going to protect American democracy. We're fighting for your rights. And people on the right say that all the time. And I said this, I've been saying this for 10 years on social media. And I go, so like wars in the Middle East 10,000 miles away? Hey, don't get me wrong. I like everything she's done for the American soldiers. I get that, but like, let's not lie to ourselves. Like the left wing lies about abortion. They go, it's just a clump of cells. You go, no, it's a human conception. Conception is the human start of human life. It's not a religious viewpoint. It's a scientific viewpoint. Or men and women are men and women. Like, you know what an adult human female is. But the right does it like this weird right wing copium where we're fighting proxy wars for this other hidden hand. And the right wing goes, protecting American rights. And you look at me like, how? How? Any war after 1914 included that didn't protect American rights if you have to leave the country to go fight the war. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Central American wars, and then the endless Middle Eastern wars. None of those protect American rights because you're not fighting on American soil to defend America. That's right-wing copium. It's just as effing delusional as the left wing saying a fetus is not a baby. It's like, I think that's Latin for baby, but yes, there's at the timeline of sperm meeting and egg in exchange of and I don't give a shit about abortion one way or the other, but it's like, as a scientist, I can say, yes, that's the start of life. There's no point on the space timeline, the space-time continuum. Before that, life is not present. After that, human life is present. What you want to do with that legally is up to you and the society you want to build. But there's no point in lying to yourself. And the left and right, they all have their things that they lie about. And I mean, being on the right in many regards, you look at the right wing line, and you ask these questions, and it's just so. I mean, it's all so effing tiresome. Anyway, so what's going on with the TikTok ban and the whatever the act is called? Is stuff is so crazy. That you'll think that the people talking about it are tinfoil hat. However, the rebuttal is the simple rebuttal, and this is the checkmate, is that you should read the document itself, perhaps make up your own mind. At the end, you will wonder if the signers, after legal due process, should be tried for treason. When I heard about this and noticed that the right people were paying attention to it, I immediately searched online to see what the globalist media said about it, and they downplayed it. I started to read, I was reading a few of these left-wing articles, and I could tell by their framing of it that it was serious and that we were probably effed. Even before I looked into it, I just read to see the shadows on the wall from the left-wing puppets, and then I did look into it, but just based on what the parasites in the media and their response was, I actually felt sick, a deep soul sickness, not to be dramatic, just from the globalist media telling me there's nothing to worry about. Only the far right are concerned about civil rights. They're the same left-wing media telling you, they're the same left-wing who's telling you to trust the media and government for the past 3 years. But why would we ask? They say that you need to trust the media and government in an emergency, except that if you don't, because they've been impeached to their veracity, to their ability to tell the truth. They don't even know what it is anymore. If they've been proven to be dishonest for 50 years, then how do you know there actually is any issue that they say? How do you know that there is an issue? Or worse, what if they just create emergencies so they can seize power? If you didn't trust the media or government in 1970, 2000, 2018, then why would you trust them after that? Which is now a toxic, far right-wing dog whistle. Because people who are too concerned about civil liberties are actually Hugo Boss. Yes, that's where we are now, where civil liberties are Hugo Boss values. That's what they actually believe. And you can tell a lot of the lay of the land by what the globalist media narrative is. And what I read made my guts churn. I'm not angry. I don't need to touch grass. I'm sad that things have got this far because I know what the future holds, because history doesn't hold. You can just look at history to take a guess at what the future holds. Well-fertilized fields, because that's happened so repeated in the past. Because it doesn't matter if this thing doesn't pass. It matters that it got this far with 26 co-sponsors. Yes, this might sound hyperbolic if you haven't been paying attention to what the Bolsheviks have been doing, not just recently, but over the past 115 years. America is a rare country that had free speech. It's shocking when you learn that you don't have the right to have a little Roman saluting dog or you'll get arrested, or if you call Macron an idiot or you'll pay a fine, which is what happened to a woman right now. Now, I don't know if I want to go into this on YouTube. It's a little tricky. The right-wing copium for that pug saluting is they go, oh, he's only joking, and they point to all these other comedians joking. I go, no, you're deflecting from the issue. He should have the right to have that dog do whatever the dog wants to do. He should be able to do any skit he wants. It doesn't matter if he's joking, he should have the right. If he's serious, he should also have the right. You're deflecting. That's your right-wing copium, and it's all you're saying is that the right wing doesn't value free speech, and they don't. Most of the right wing doesn't. They go, oh well, yeah, we're in deep waters when the right wing wants to deflect away from you. Go, hey, you value free speech against all groups, parties, places, and things. Oh, well, I can tell you, friendos, that DeSantis and Trump don't, and you can perhaps look at their voting history and come to your own conclusion about that. In fact, Florida's going through the whole thing again with HB 269. You immediately wonder why people need to be told that they're not allowed to make fun of people, politicians, or groups. Why do adults need the government telling them those sorts of things? Oh, they don't. But if you don't have free speech, you can't talk about it. So there's the boxes and all this. You know, where does the left always go? It's like the riots are the voices of the unheard, except January 6th. Those are all Hugo Boss. If you make, peaceful redress of grievance impossible, it's like, well, if you take free speech and Europe doesn't have free speech, and America might have it de jure, but it doesn't have it de facto. So, I mean, where do you go from there? Anyway, so American globalist politicians are jealous of the power of other countries to arrest their citizens for words. That includes the right and the left. You can forget that rhino concept. That is pathetic right-wing copium. Please point to more than a half a dozen politicians on the right who give a darn, who, oh no, it's just the rhinos. We got to get the deep state rhinos out. So when 99% of your party is rhinos, it doesn't make sense. It's beyond saving at this point. There's like a half a dozen people who might be on the right path, but even they're not speaking out. They don't even fly close to the sun. They're not over target. If they were over target, they would be driving to work and have a tragic accident. We're here now because right-wing politicians never actually put their foot down or spoke up. There are no conservative representatives. They can't conserve anything. There's only the Federal Reserve uniparty. You could have seen this happen 40 years ago, 100 years ago, or 150 years ago, or even all the way back to 1863. You could have said there was no political solution back then. Things are so bad now that there isn't even the appearance of saving anything. Anal sex is now a conservative value. Sorry to be graphic, but the Groypers and the Charlie Kirk thing, that was an amazing, amazing moment. Because it took a crude question, asking a crude question. They go, what are the conservative values now? Is anal sex a conservative value? He didn't answer it because how exactly is he going to answer that? Because the truth is, yes, it is. It is. Of course, it's a conservative value because you don't conserve anything. You're just 5 years behind the left, maybe at the best 10 years in some regards. Or Matt Walsh being asked a challenging question. Don't say anything in the comments. And he said, do I even need to dignify that with a response? And you look at him, you look around each other like, oh, shit, this is the right wing? No, it's not the right wing. These are called controlled ops for a reason. I've done a ton of these videos on Odyssey, BitChute, and Substack. Not Substack, Subscribestar. Because some things are too spicy even for Odyssey and BitChute. Or right wing has got free speech. Speakers get uninvited from events called like free speech events, uncancelable events. Jordan Peterson or something, not Jared Taylor, Jordan Peterson. Though honestly, they're not that far apart in some regards. But that's the right wing, is that they say they're for. Let me get this guy's Twitter up. They say they're for free speech. And they're uncancelable. This is their website. This is a great place to get started. They put that slogan on their fundraising. Make sure my tabs aren't like anything really spicy. They put that slogan on their fundraising papers, but then they uninvite actual real conservatives who believe in free speech. Faith Goldie was one of them. But then there was a black guy who was based, and he got uninvited from Jordan Peterson's event, and I don't know, Shapiro, whoever. This was years ago. There's some black guy, a base black guy. They do exist. They're rare, but they exist. Oh yeah, suddenly, yeah, sorry, fella. There's no free speech for you. The event's called Uncancelable. The free speech values of the right wing. Yeah, but you took that literally. So sorry. Sorry, you and Faith Goldie are not allowed. You remember Faith Goldie's name, but not the black guy. Faith Goldie was cute. So anyway, no, there's no political solution to any of this. 90% of the right wing is the left wing with a different color suit. But sometimes they're pins. Anyway, the right wing is there to jerk you off with copium and keep you well behaved. I listened to a bit of Salty tonight. I was shocked at how blatant he has become. You can, in fact, if you want to listen to tonight's stream, if you listen to him and you enjoy his stuff, there's a couple of streams you can listen to of his. But tonight's, if you want to spend 2 hours listening to his stream, you can listen to it on a little bit fast forward. Listen to it and really listen to it. Either he's insanely stupid or he's controlled ops, and unfortunately he is far from stupid. He and others like him are there to tell you that we all just need to unify and trust the plan, and Trump or DeSantis is our guy, except for their voting records on free speech, and that we're going to present the world with facts and we're going to blow this story wide open, or James O'Keefe. Well, actually, James O'Keefe's kind of turned out to be an interesting guy. The Project Veritas story is another interesting story, so there might be something there, but like Project Veritas, Jesus, sorry. They're so desperate to maintain control of a narrative that they're willing to bankrupt the company and kick out the guy who made it to slow him down a little bit. That's, I mean, like a lot of the stuff is there to see if you want to see it. And the thing is, who's that guy? James O'Keefe? He doesn't want to get Epstein, so he's not going to fly that close to the sun. He's just going to keep moving on with what he's doing, but he's not going to talk about what's going on with Project Veritas. So no, but the thing is, that's right wing copium too. You're not gonna blow the story wide open. The best I can hope for with those kind of guys is that they move people in the direction of realizing what's going on. So, for the reasons I just explained, there's no external messiah figure in Trump, DeSantis, or Cruz, or whoever's on the horizon. No, you need to form local cultural appreciation clubs and go hiking together or have coffee in people's living rooms. Nothing gets done from the top down. The only solution is very local, which historically has been a rough sell, but it doesn't matter if the odds are 1,000,000 to 1 when the other pathways all lead to hell and that one pathway leads to heaven. It's like, oh, well, that's very much worth fighting for. The world needs to go in the other direction, towards free speech, not more government control. Like, Europe wouldn't be in a bad position as it is if they had free speech. The effed up thing, and the thing is just like, well, so how, if you can't talk about issues in Europe now because they call it hate speech, so then it's like you fait accompli the whole situation. You're going to do what you want without voices of the people because you made their voices hate speech. It's like, well, oh, it's a good thing you took away their liberty devices. See, you just trust the government that's not trustworthy. And to be fair, the same thing happened. Something similar happened to America. Is like, yeah, you still have the Second Amendment, except in the coastal states, or even in some states you don't. I mean, there's many states in America that you really don't have the Second Amendment. If you try to assert it, the state agents will just murder you. But it didn't. The Second Amendment didn't stop America from being subverted and corrupted. It was just there was so much of this bread and circuses, high fructose corn syrup. America was very good for a long time, and it just slowly got worse and worse. That the people are just so fat and bovine and placid that, like, to get people fired up now, it's why people make Odyssey and BitChute and Subscribe Star videos, is to try to to do whatever you can. So the effed up thing now is that if the right wing is concerned about something, the left wing will knee-jerk respond against it. They can't help themselves. This feels like it might start to touch on something a little bit different, where even some of the left wing people could possibly come around to this, but the left wing is terrified of the left wing. They know how evil they are. and they're terrified of being canceled. Like, yikes, my guy, bad look. And if you get a few of those, that translates into, oh, you're going to get doxxed and you're going to get fired and you're going to get debanked. Yikes, my guy. And your spouse is going to get fired and your kids are going to get kicked out of school. They might even get attacked in school. Yikes, my guy, you better touch some grass. So it's like, if you want to call out the left, and even if you're on the left, it means total war against them, because they're going to have total war against you. Like, you're no longer going to be like the BLT thing with the TERFs and the women's rights stuff. Like, those those women, the feminists, like, they very much are left wingers, but they get death threats because they're not far enough on the left. Anyway, so no, Virginia, it's not a TikTok ban. It's just another facet of the Bolshevik crystal. It gives the government the right to do whatever they want with no real oversight, not even FOIA. Again, it's you can read it yourself, and it's like, you read it and you might have to look up some of those cross references, and you'd be like, oh, this isn't good. And then it just gets worse. I remember Michael Crichton was writing about the authoritarian civil forfeiture issue, and that was over 30 years ago when I was reading those books. And the thing is, I forget if it might have been in Disclosure. It was made into a movie, and they changed a few things in the movie, because the N word was in the book. I think this guy was talking about how racist the Japanese were, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna dial that back for the movies. Anyway, and I think they also did a race swap, of course. It felt out of character for the books that he was writing at the time, but he knew that giving the government the power to seize assets was insane, because there's supposed to be a little something called due process, that Fifth Amendment. But when you give the government the right to do ex parte, exigent circumstances, exceptions to due process, they're going to abuse that power. That should be extremely limited, and usually see examples of that with TROs. Temporary restraining orders can be ex parte. I mean, judicial action without one party, but it's like very temporary because of those emergency circumstances. And then you get a hold of the person, you start presenting them, notice of an opportunity to be heard in due process. It's only under very, very limited circumstances. But civil forfeiture is something else. And yes, of course, they've abused those powers. If you give a corrupt system government powers, they're going to abuse it. And first of all, to the extent of the limitations of the good think filters on Google, there's only so much I can say. Let me cut to the chase, and this is a euphemism. Form local hiking clubs. Get to know the people in your hiking clubs, because there's no fixing this within the system that got us here. The corrupt media is going to blow up the corrupt media. Oh, hey, the corrupt FBI is going to arrest the corrupt. Hey, Garland's corrupt Department of Justice is going to arrest Garland's corrupt department. Did you hear Kennedy ask Garland about the anti-Christian hate crime? And what Garland, his answer was dissembly, deflection, Stonewall. He did not say that he was going to push for anti-Christian hate crimes. When a BLT person slaughtered 6 Christians, and they asked Garland that, and the Department of Justice and the FBI is corrupt, and they hate people like you, and they very much hate Christians, but they very much hate European people also. You're not going to fix any. You see these people in the system now, and you go, this is Biden's cabinet. This is who's in our system. No, tell me how you fix this on Telegram. Don't tell me on YouTube, because that'll be the last. The comments like that, the chicken tendy type of comments, all it does is hurt the channel. Like all the code words and stuff. It's like, I mean, the channel's not going to be around forever, but there's no need to hurry it out. It's like every day is another couple of bucks. And the thing is, it's not the money from YouTube, because it's like it's not. It literally is a couple of bucks. It's nothing. It's that it brings people to the other platforms. Like, oh, I'm glad I found these other channels, and I got there through YouTube. It's like, that's why I literally make YouTube videos, even if they actually cost money to make, which they do. Anyway, so. The thing is, there's no fixing this within the system that got us here. And to cover the build up to this, I mean, I guess you'd have to go back before Aristotle. It's fascinating, but this the coevolution of trade, shipping, and then the need to have different currencies around the world. I mean, it's fascinating, but it literally is 1,000-year history. The American aspect of it, not so much, of course, but you start with that. And it's like you could probably do a cool video. It would take a few hours. The thing is, for me, it's impossible to do it on a tablet because you got to do at least some editing that you just can't do on an 8-inch $100 Kindle. It doesn't have that kind of processing power. But also because you just can't talk about some things on YouTube or Rumble. Rumble's a little bit better than YouTube, but it's not. Odyssey is great. Gap TV, Shank TV, World Truth Video, and I'm hearing a lot about Brighton or something. Because I think the ADL came out with a chart that lists, or SPLC or ACLU or FBI. It's like it's all one group really. They came out with a list of the websites that have the worst, I don't know, the most hate speech. And like that doesn't exist. That's just a globalist way to manipulate you. And I think Brighton got an F, which is a very good sign for us. Like Odyssey got I think D-, and BitChute got a D-, but Brighton actually got an F, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I don't even think they rated World Truth Video or Post or stuff like that because that's like way off the charts. Or I don't think they probably didn't. They probably rated Gab, but they didn't rate Gab TV. It's like, yeah, there's no point in bothering with Gab TV because like anything that's legal is going to go on Gab TV. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. First of all, a very sincere thank you to everyone who do support the channel. And you're like, why are they supporting this stupid little YouTube channel? Because they're supporting the Odyssey and BitChute channel, but I think some people hear of it on YouTube. The Buy Me a Coffee, the Cash App, and the Subscribe Star have all been very useful and very helpful. And I'm very sincere when to not be a hot chick and have people donate is a pretty cool thing. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next video.